You're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck.
What's up YouTube, this is Brandon, a third-rate duelist, and today I'm going to come at you guys in my Invoked Dogmatika Shaddoll deck profile. So, of course, I'm giving you guys a Shaddoll deck profile. I've been on Invoked Dogmatika Shadolls for quite some time now, so, I know this is not the first time I profiled this list for you guys, but this deck is still super meta-relevant. Obviously it wasn't touched all on the ban list. It still can compete with the other decks like Drytron and Tri-Brigade and Sky Striker and all that stuff. So I figured it was worth the profile, so that way I can kind of share with you guys my thoughts on the deck. So if you guys would be interested in seeing other Shaddoll variants, I've been working on a Magic Shaddoll list for a little bit now, so if you guys would be interested in seeing that, I'll definitely post that so you guys can see a profile of that. Maybe even if you guys would be interested in seeing maybe a Pure Shaddoll list, or maybe like a Chaos Shaddoll list, or a Train Shaddoll list, definitely let me know, and I'll test those variants and give you guys my honest thoughts on it. And before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and brag about how awesome my friends are and, give some shout outs. So first is going to be shoutouts to Austin for this awesome metal field center he got for me. So I'm not quite sure the company or individual who he got it from, but this thing's freaking sweet. It's got Construct on the front and Shaddoll Fusion on the back. It's metal. It's really good quality. It's a nice field center. I like it quite a bit. It's probably my favorite field center I have now. And then shout outs to Brant for getting me this awesome playmat. He had this custom made, and again, I cannot remember who he had made this, but this thing's sweet. He picks Construct to be in the center of the map because Construct is my favorite card in the game. It's got Ecclesia and Alistair on it. And if you look in the background here in the black and white, there's actually different Invoked Shaddoll and Dogmatika cards. So you can see like Schism here, Fleur-de-Lis, Meltdown, Invocation, Windows over here, Apollo, and Mechaba. This mat's awesome. I really like it quite a bit, so thank you, Brant. I've had this for a couple months now, but haven't profiled this deck in quite some time, so I haven't had a reason to show it off until now. So let's go ahead and get started on the profile. So to start things off, we are playing 3 Alistair the Invoker. It's an Invoke deck, you gotta play 3 of it. This card's really good, searches Invocation, and then 2 Ecclesia and 1 Fleur-de-Lis. So I'm not playing Maximus, mainly because that card helps Drytron out too much. It's just the amount of risk you playing that card right now is just not worth it in my opinion. So this is what I play for the Dogmatika monsters. So 2 Ecclesia, 1 Fleur. I feel like 2 Ecclesia is the right ratio right now. These are the only main deck light targets I'm playing to make Construct. Obviously you can normal summon Alistair, link off into Artemis, and make Alistair a light monster. But none of the hand traps I'm playing are light monsters. So this is it for main deck light targets. So that's one reason why I'm choosing to play 2 Ecclesia instead of just the 1. Another reason why I'm playing 2 Ecclesia is because it's not bad to hard draw this card. You're not always going to have Nadir. You need more ways to get to Fleur, or maybe Punishment if you need to start a play. So I feel like 2 is good right now. For Shaddoll monsters, 2 Windy and 2 Squamata. These are the only main deck Shadolls you play more than one of. Just because they're the best ones. Windy is going to set 1 and Squamata is going to dump 1. So this is good. I like this quite a bit. And then 1 Beast, set off Windy or draw a card if you need to. 1 Dragon for back row removal. 1 Aerial. I actually took Rest Shaddoll Incarnation out of the main deck. I'll get into that a little bit more here in a little bit. So I don't really ever use the flip effect of Aerial anymore, but she's in here because the triple DD Crow is good, and she's another attribute to make Apollo, which is nice. So, and then last but not least is the 1 Hedgehog. That way you can search a name if you need to have a Shaddoll card in hand. So this is the perfect Shaddoll ratio in my opinion. The Shaddoll monsters can be bricks in your hand, so you don't want to open too many of them, and you really just want to open L Shaddoll Fusion if you open Shaddoll monsters. So I wouldn't change this ratio. I like it quite a bit. And then for the hand traps is 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. It's Ash. I don't think any more things should be said about that. And then 3 Droll and Lockbird. So I'm playing Droll because this card just shuts down Drytron. Herald of Ultimateness is a card and you know, Droll's just really good against the deck. And that's what it boils down to, is card's really good. And it's also really good against the mirror match. This deck, well, it isn't hard lose to Droll, excuse me. It isn't hard lose to Droll, but it makes your turn significantly worse. Like, getting Droll just really sucks. So I'm opting to play it for those reasons. And then the last hand trap I'm playing is 2 Phantasme, or Thanos as what we like to call it at the surprise shop. This is really in there because Sky Striker is big at the shop, and I feel like Sky Striker is going to be big, you know, meta-wise, just because Engage came to 1, and the deck's really hyped up. So I see, you know, Striker everywhere. And then it's good against Tri-Brigade too. And then it's also really good against Prank Kids. So they link out, you play this to draw into your stuff. So it does it for monsters. I don't think I'd really change this. I have debated on playing Gamma in the main deck, just because getting Drolled sucks. But, I mean, you think about it, like, the only times you're really going to get Drolled is if you, or Ashed, I guess. So, like, your big power cards in this deck are Meltdown, Nadir, and Shaddoll Fusion. So obviously you're not going to Droll the Shaddoll Fusion, but you know, you can definitely Droll the Meltdown and the Nadir, and that sucks quite a bit. So I thought about main decking Gamma for those reasons, but there's other times where you start your plays with a monster, like normal summoning Alistair, and get Drolled then too. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. Gamma might make its way into the main deck, but I'm not completely sold on it yet. So for now, this is what I'm going with. And on for the spells, 3 Nadir Servants. This card's absolutely busted. 3 Magical Meltdown, just to get the Alistair. Card's good. I actually am not playing the Terraforming in the main deck, just because of Droll. Like, I want to give my opponent as few options, or few, I guess, windows of opportunity to Droll me as possible. So that means taking Terraforming out of the main deck. So just the 3 Meltdowns, and then 3 Shaddoll Fusion, and then I am playing 2 L Fusion. So I was playing 3 of this card. I cut it down to 2. I don't think 1 is correct, and the reason I don't think 1 is correct, especially last format, I'm not too sure the way it's trending right now, but I know last format, like, a bunch of people were main decking something like Dark Ruler No More, just for like Dragon Link and stuff like that. So, you know, I feel like that this format might follow suit, just because Drytron is so big. So 2 L Fusion, the reason being is because you need a way to make Winda after they Dark Ruler No More you. So being able to L Fusion to Winda after the rule is really good. And then you want to see fusion spells to an extent because of the Shaddoll monsters. And then 2 Invocation. Invocation, you don't need to play any more than 2 of it. And then 2 Super Polymerization. I'm not playing 3 of this card. Honestly, this is probably where a lot of you are going to disagree with me. That's fine. I don't particularly like Super Poly right now. And I know it's Shaddoll, and, you know, Super Poly is so good in Shaddoll, but, I mean, if you really think about it, this card does nothing by itself right now. Drytron's ending on Herald of Ultimateness and Beatrice. And unless they end on the Fafnir, I think that's the XYZ, whatever the XYZ is, but I don't see a lot of them doing that. A lot of times they end on just Beatrice and Herald of Ultimateness, both of which are light fairy type monsters, so you can't make Mud Dragon. And then there's no good generic Super Poly target against Tri-Brigade. There's no good Super Poly target against Sky Striker. There's no good Super Poly target against Salamangreat unless you're, you know, extra decking the Pyro Phoenix. I think that's the fusion monster for Salamangreat. Just, my point being is this card does nothing by itself right now. The reason why Super Poly was so good in the past is because you played stuff like Mud Dragon and Starving Venom to break boards and stole your opponent's stuff, so you traded 2 cards for 2 cards against your opponent. Right now, Super Poly is only good against Drytron if you open this card and a Shaddoll monster to make Construct. And at that point, if you count the discard off Super Poly, you're taking 3 of your cards just to take 1 of theirs. It just takes away so much advantage. So that's why I'm not a big fan of this card right now. Honestly, like, this card is still super good in the mirror match, and that's why I'm opting to play it still. It's because this card's just busted in the mirror match. But against the rest of the decks in the format, it's not that good. I'm honestly debated on just swapping this card out for Ruler. Just because if you play against Drytron, you Ruler them, you break the board and, you know, set up a window and they can't come back from that. So that's my thoughts on Super Poly right now. Let me know down below what you guys think. But that's just my opinions. And then the one Call by the Grave, because getting Drolled in Ash sucks. And then the one Shaddoll Schism. I'm not playing the rest Shaddoll Incarnation anymore. I know I mentioned it earlier. The reason being is because like that card had some, like, it was only good in certain situations. It was a very situational card to me. I hated hard drawing it because most of the time it was just a brick. I couldn't do anything with it. So I opted to cut it out just to play other cards. And again, I mean, it was good in certain situations where like, oh, Resh, bring back Construct, or Resh, bring back Winda. And that's really good. But there's just a lot of times where it just either wasn't needed or just a dead card in hand. And then the one, Dogmatika Punishment. This card's super restrictive. I'm very much on the fence about it just because I have to be able to fusion summon in this deck every turn to be able to win. But the card's still too good not to play. If you open super slow and you're really just relying on the Dogmatika engine, then you can use it to start your plays. So I mean, at the very worst, you can always just get Schism off this card. So, and that's good. So that does it for the main deck. It's at 40. And we'll go on to the extra deck. We're playing 3 Shaddoll Construct. I feel like 3 is necessary in this list. I've seen some people cut it down to 2. Just with Schism, I just go through constructs all the time, and I feel like you need to play 3 of it. If I were to cut this down to 2, I would play a second Mekaba. But there have been way more instances where the third construct came up more than the second Mekaba, so that's why I'm playing this at 3. And then we are playing 2 Winda. I don't need any more than 2. Most of the time you only need 1, but you have to play the second for the times they do out the first one. And then 2 App Cologne. Playing 2 of this just because you're always dumping this off in a deer, so you need to have an, or off of Punishment. So you need to have another one in the extra deck to play into later, just to negate stuff and outprop cards. The 1 Mekaba. And I am main decking 1 Rajin. The reason for this is because I think Bird Up's going to get popular now that Trident's banned. So having a Super Poly target against that is good. And also, you can also make this against Bird Up, so normal summon Alistar, search Invocation. If they have a Wind Engrave, Invocation, make Rajin, then Book of Moon, the Barrier Statue, and then make your plays from there. So this card's really good. I make it all the time, and like against AJ when he was playing Heroes a couple weeks ago, I did a cheeky play where I flipped Beast and then drew 2 cards and then attacked him, and then on my turn Book of Moon the Beast again so I could use it on my next turn. You know, it has some fun intricate plays like that. And then with Meltdown on field, you can always just, you know, make the Rajin and then on summon use the fucking Book of Moon so they can't respond to it. So I like this card. And then the 1 Algides, card's just really good. And then the 1 Mud Dragon, it's just my generic Super Poly target in the extra deck right now. And then the 1 Natis. Just that way I can have a double pop off Punishment if I need to, or maybe dump it off in a deer and pop a card after the search. I find myself going into this less and less, or using this less and less. I use it for more of Punishment than anything, just for a double pop, and so that's cool, but it's not super frequent. So this might get cut for something else, like maybe the second Mekaba, or I'm not quite sure, so let me know what you guys think. I still like this card quite a bit, just because it has those certain situations where it's good. And it's, you know, a fusion that you can banish off the Algides and make it bigger if you need to, so I don't know. I like it. And then the 1 Artemis to make the Alistar light targets. The 1 Gravity Controller, so that way, you know, once you fuse in the construct, dump the Schism, you can Gravity Controller add Schism back, or, you know, fuse an App Clone. Gravity Control the App Clone away, search Schism, discard a card. So, card's needed. It's really good. And then the last card in the extra deck is Alistar the Invoker Madness. So I know a lot of people are taking this 15th slot and playing something like Anaconda. Anaconda's good. I just, like, Anaconda's good in a lot of situations, but this guy is really good in a lot of situations too. He helps you OTK, just because his discard effect isn't cost, so it triggers the doll monsters, and he searches Invocation. And at the very worst, you just link into this dude and then fusion summon off Schism and then trigger him to search an invocation if you don't open any of the Invoked engine. That way you can play something like Mechaba or Rajin or the Algides to swing for game. And then, you know, as I'm saying, like, this guy he's good. If you don't open the Invoked engine, you use him to search invocation. Or if you need to push for game, you just fusion summon with him on field, search another invocation, so that way you can make a Mechaba and an Algides. Or, you know, Mechaba Rajin. So I really like it. There has been like a handful of instances where I was like, man, if this was Anaconda, it'd be really good. But, I mean, more often than not, I'd rather it be Alistair the Invoker Madness. Plus, it's a pretty CR, so that Austin got me. So, that's it for the extra deck, and we'll go on to the side deck. So, the side deck is tailored towards my locals, so keep that in mind. But I feel like this, I think I would play this side deck in a big event too. So, let's just get right into it. I don't think my side deck's changed very much throughout the course of the video. So, 3 Nibiru. I don't main deck this dude just because there's been so many instances where I just Nibiru my opponent and the next turn I like hard draw Shaddoll Fusion and I start kicking myself, because if this would have been a different hand trap that just stopped them from making as big of a board but left them on an extra deck monster, then my Shaddoll Fusion would be alive. So I just opt to side it. The card's really good in prank kids and all that good stuff. And then the 3 Lancia for Tri-Brigade mainly. This deck doesn't have too hard of a matchup against Tri-Brigade in my opinion, so I didn't feel like main decking the Lancia was necessary, but I opted to side it instead. And then the 3 Ruler card is really good. The 1 Feather Duster, just to have a complete back row wipe and 2 Cosmic Cyclones, so that way you have a chainable spell and trap removal. This might come out for a 3rd Cosmic, just because this deck loses to Imperial Order, and you need a way, like, by the time you play the Harpy's Feather Duster, they're going to change the order and it fiddles, so I'd almost rather have the quick play because of that. Or, you know, like anti-spell, stuff like that, which a lot of decks are going to be on now that Striker is relevant, so. And then lastly is 3 Evenly Matched. This card is just busted, especially right now. It's like busted against Sky Strikers, busted against Salman Great, busted against Tri-Brigade. Drytron not so much because they're just going to negate it ultimateness. Mirror Match, this card is busted. So, that's why I'm choosing to play it. So let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of my deck profile. You know, criticism is always welcome. As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and later YouTube.